Being a mechanic used to mean something. You used to be able to take things apart, fix it on your own, put it all back together, and you knew you were the one to get it done. And that felt great. But now, they're taking that feeling away from us.
You can just call me Eddie, and today we're going to talk about why mechanics hate working on modern cars and how manufacturers are slowly killing what it means to be one.
Let's take this Honda Accord I just fixed. Now the CVT transmission went out because the belt snapped inside. A very common issue, but they won't let us fix it. Now I have this one fixed now, it's running and driving, and the only way I was able to do that was by buying a new transmission and replacing it. And that's not what I really like to do.
The main thing that drives the CVT transmission is the belt and pulley assembly. And when the belt explodes like this, it's pretty obvious that we need a new belt to fix this thing. But when you cannot get a belt from a reputable source, it makes it tough to repair this thing at all, or even consider attempting it because you're not sure if the parts you're buying are actually going to fix it. I searched on Google, I searched everywhere, and I could not find any reputable sources to buy a CVT belt assembly for. It's way too much work to pull this thing in and out to be playing around with flimsy Chinese parts. So what happens with this one on the bench? Well, we're going to throw it out because the junkyard I bought the good used one from doesn't want it, and it's not going to go back to Honda to be remanufactured. And they're the only people that are remanufacturing these transmissions right now. I've talked to many of the remanufacturers throughout the nation, and nobody is touching these Honda CVTs as of yet. So this is just a game of plug and play with this Honda CVT transmission and pretty much all other CVT transmissions as well. All the knowledge and experience you need is diagnosing and figuring out the problem, and don't worry, the dealer will take care of you on getting you a part to swap out.
Now the same thing is true on these Nissans right here, except you can buy the internal parts for the CVT transmissions on these things. It's just they're so bad, you don't know if that's going to fix it or not when you got it on the bench. Now the Hondas are a little better, and I believe I could fix them with new pulleys and chains. But these Nissans, they're so bad, I'm afraid to touch them. Not because I don't think I could fix them, because I don't want to warranty them when it breaks down again and I gotta fix it for free. So the only option with any Nissan, any Honda, or any Subaru with a CVT transmission is to replace it with a brand new one or a low mileage good used one. And at that point, you're not a rebuilder, you're not a mechanic, you're just a parts changer. And that's what we're all becoming as mechanics. And that's what really pisses me off. Now see, this parts changing stuff all started with the starter. See, the starter has two parts here. You have an electrical motor that turns this, then you have a solenoid that activates that electrical motor when it gets a 12-volt signal through this plug. Now here's the battery voltage. So 9 times out of 10, when you have a starter go bad, it's usually the solenoid that just goes bad and not the electrical motor. When you power up the electrical motor, it'll still turn just fine. So you could take these two bolts loose right here and just replace the solenoid, but nobody sells the solenoid anymore. So if you have a bad starter, what you get is a whole entire starter motor for $300 instead of just a little solenoid for $50.
And that's what really pisses us off. It's not that the repairs are just harder now, they're trying to make them impossible, so we're not allowed to do the real repairs anymore. You're forced to become a parts changer. It's just kind of wasteful and insulting. We don't get to be efficient, clever, or skilled anymore unless we can find something quick and easy to fix like a broken wire. But other than that, it's a game of changing parts and just diagnosing cars and making sure they're fixed when it's done. And sometimes you gotta wait a really, really long time on parts. And that's what makes people feel like that you're not a good mechanic. And you get a bad reputation. And it's not always your fault. But hey, I've talked to many mechanics, and they're all in this situation. We're all dealing with the same troubles in this industry.
The more they make cars disposable, the more they strip the identity away from mechanics. We don't get to be clever, we don't get to think anymore, we don't get to figure out problems on our own. We just get told steps on how to remove and replace parts. Now what makes everything worse is the mechanic industry is booming right now, and mechanics are in very high demand. Where for every car that needs to be fixed, there's one less mechanic out there, and that's because they're disappearing. Because it's not a very easy job to do. Just think about over the last 30 years alone. You've had cars turn from that to that, and there's so much technology out there, it's impossible to know everything on your own. That's why you have brake shops, tire shops, transmission specialty shops, engine specialty shops. There's all this specialization because special people gotta know how to do special things. And for every new piece of technology that's introduced in the industry, there's one less tech out there that knows how to fix it. And that's a huge problem.
That's why the dealer does it all, and they take forever to get your car in and out of the shop. That's not progress, and it's hurting the industry. It's honestly honestly only going to hurt the consumer more and more as time goes on. Now, AI's been in cars for years. They've been using adaptive technology inside cars to change shift patterns and to learn how you drive basically, and to cater performance specifically for you. This has been done for a number of years now, and computers have been in cars since the 90s, and I don't understand why now we got to have all these updates for these cars to actually run right, when back in the day these things were nice and simple and you could still get these computers fixed even if they break down. You want simple? You want something that's cheap to fix, easy to understand, and built to last? Good luck finding it. Economy cars, real simple, reliable daily drivers, are practically extinct. Instead, we get tech-packed vehicles that break early and cost double to repair.
So why are the manufacturers packing all these technology into these cars when it's really unnecessary and they should be making simple and effective cars? Well, car manufacturers, they're not really in the car making business anymore. They're in the shareholder business. They got to make shareholders happy. And to do that, they got to come out with new technology every year to tell the shareholders we're going to sell more cars because we got this new technology coming out. It's all about profits and how you can predict your profits and predict your earnings per share and actually making these earnings per share in the back end.
They want to kill the aftermarket. They want to kill used car dealers. They want locked ECUs, subscription features, dealer-only diagnostics, and every time they push this forward, real hard-working mechanics fall a little further behind. Not because we're dumb, it's because they're not making it cheap and easy and quick to fix. They're making it expensive and lengthy and not easy to fix. Not to mention all the scan tools and other programming devices that you gotta have in a shop nowadays. But the aftermarket is not dead. While guys like me are still swapping parts, flipping cars in the driveway, it's a dying art, yeah, but I'm still keeping it alive. As long as there's a junkyard and a bunch of tools around, you know how I'm gonna get down. There's always gonna be a way to keep these cars going. And one day we're gonna be flipping cars with 8-speed transmissions, 40 computers, and a locked ECU that I'm gonna hack with a Chinese scanner. Trust me, that day's coming fast. Now, some companies are claiming to fight back. Ever heard of Slate?
Slate is an EV startup backed by Jeff Bezos, and they claim to be bringing back cheap, simple, and effective vehicles, but electrified. And here's why I think it won't work. You see, these Slates are supposed to be priced at around $20,000 to $25,000. And the real problem with them is, with their cheap base model, it only goes 120 miles on one charge. Now, if you want something cheap and effective and simple, you could just go buy a Chevy S10 for around $1,000. Even if the motor didn't work, you could put a V8 LS motor in this thing for like another $2,000 or $3,000. Get somebody to install it, tune it up, and you have about $5,000 in a vehicle you could fill up and go 300 miles on one tank. Then you would have $20,000 left over to spend on your business to end up getting work for this thing to do. That's simple, that's cheap, and that's effective. And that's what people really, really want.
And EVs, they're just not there yet. And they won't be there for a long time for the budget crowd. Not for used car buyers, and definitely not for any backyard mechanics. Let's make cars simple again, and that's all we're really after. We just want to make cars easy to fix so we can fix them ourselves and fix them for cheap, quick, and be good mechanics like we want to be. We don't want to fix all this newer crap with all this computers in it and all these newer powertrain systems that just fail way too early. It costs way too much to fix for our customers, and it takes way too long for us to do, and there's not really a good way to make money, and we're not the ones that's making all the money off of all these broken cars. It's the manufacturers.
If you're a mechanic, you just got to realize you're in a dying industry that the manufacturers are trying to kill. But don't worry, the art of fixing cars, it won't die off. There's always going to be guys like me that are willing to take these cars apart, fix them with junkyard parts or whatever we can to get them back on the road. Now, these modern cars packed with technology, they're not going to kill all the mechanics off, but they will weed out the bad ones. And the good ones, well, they're just going to cost big bucks.
But if you like saving cars from scrap heat, you should hit that like button. And if you like watching me fix trash with other trash and making it not trash, you should hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and whatever you do, however you do it, you should work hard, you should play hard, and most importantly, you should stay dirty. You can just call me Eddie.